that's how I know that, God's really working in my life, is because, my weekend away in Texas, it was a Christian retreat, all entrepreneurs. And we were trying to figure out a way, what's a good way of sharing your faith and incorporating that in your business. And that was on Sunday. Today's Tuesday, and I'm sitting on a podcast right now expressing my faith in front of how many people?
Welcome to the Onsite podcast. We chat with contractors, educators, industry professionals about the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. So without further ado, let's fucking get into it.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Onsite podcast. Today on episode 27, we have Tom Dunne. Tom is one of the electrical contractors that I've been working with. I've had the privilege of working with for just over a year, and I'm super excited to finally dig into some conversation with Tom. Tom's lived, a very unique life and probably a very familiar life to a lot of different people, and so I think there'll be a lot of great, relatable conversation that we uncover today. So, Tom, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
It has been a long time coming. I've been bugging you a little bit to get you on here, and I'm excited to dig into this with you. And so, Tom, tell us a little bit about who you are and where you're from and what you do.
My name's Tom. I'm electrical contractor in Owen Sound, Ontario. I incorporated my business just under 2 years ago. We're growing pretty quick. Got 6 employees already, and we do residential, commercial, some industrial stuff, and that's about it.
Cool. Awesome. So Tom is in Owen Sound, Ontario. So a lot of the listeners are from all across North America. And if you're an electrical contractor that is looking at growing your business, this is going to be definitely a great conversation for you to dig into. And so I'm excited to kind of learn a little bit more about you, Tom, about your business in ways that we probably haven't discussed on a lot of our coaching calls. I know we've had lots of conversations over the year, but we haven't really fully dug into, who Tom is and why is Tom doing what he's doing. So Tom, I'm curious, what got you started in electrical and kind of starting your own business?
Well, I was a supervisor at a company. We contracted for Toronto Hydro. I did that for about 13 years, and I made a lot of changes in my life. I struggled with drug and alcohol addiction, and I am currently sober for 3 years now. But after 1 year of sobriety, I thought after 1 year it would be, I'd be like a superhero or something like that. So, but it just turned out to be just another day. So I was, searching to do something better, and because I knew I was meant for more. So I actually joined a men's group where I was just involved in like all just personal development, and there were some entrepreneurs in there. So I joined that, and after a few weeks, my one-on-one coach at the time, he struggled with the same struggles as I was, and he also incorporated an electrical business. So within, it's funny how that works. God moves in pretty good ways. So within 3 weeks, he's like, "Man, you got to quit your job." So I was a supervisor, right? So I just, every morning I got the guys going, and I sat in my truck and I started incorporating. I got a lawyer. I was designing logos, ordering business cards before I even had the business, was kind of setting up my vision board. So during my work hours, I was creating my company. So
love it.
I did that.
Love it.
And,
What was the turning point? So this coach that came into your life, was that before you got sober, or was that during?
That was right after my 1 year of sobriety.
Okay.
That's when I joined that group. So you know what it's like, right? In an environment of entrepreneurs and successful people, it's all about accountability. So they gave me a goal, and I followed through with it. So
this might be a little bit too personal too, and that's fine if it is. Just curious, like I struggle with different types of addiction. I'm probably addicted to my business a little bit too much, which is probably either a blessing or a curse in itself.
I call that a healthy habit, not an addiction.
Okay. Yeah. I love it, man. I start my day super early and I end it very late, and we solve some really big problems, and it provides a lot of fulfillment for me as well. But, the addiction side of things, what was like the turning point? Was it family? Was it something internal? Like what made you say, you know what, this isn't my fucking life anymore. I need to live a different life.
That's a good question. As I said, I was a supervisor. So my crew, they really, they were noticing a lot of I was getting into some pretty heavy stuff, so they were noticing a lot of changes with me. So it took one of my best friends. I came in one day and he just said, I ain't working for you anymore. And he's just like, either you walk or I walk. So I tried pleading with him, just saying, you know, I'll change. But he wasn't giving in, and I'm glad that he didn't. So he, about a year before that occurred, he got sick. He suffers with cancer, and he's still battling that. But he made changes to his life, and he went to rehab, and he got better. So, you know, he wanted the same for me. So yeah, it took a lot, but yeah, he basically said, go to rehab or I'm not working
Fuck
for
off.
you. So yeah. So yeah, and I thank him all the time. You know, if it wasn't for him, I'd either be in jail or dead, probably. So
That's wild. It's crazy how the world works. As I become more aged or weathered, whatever you want to call it, I recognize, you know, and I know that your beliefs or your faith in God is really present, and I really respect that.
he's the real CEO of my business.
Yeah, for sure.
I give out all, you know, that's the one thing people struggle with, right? They try to take control of their day, but you just surrender your day to him, and it's amazing the things that he does for you. So
I'm a Catholic. I was baptized, and I don't really practice. I don't do a lot of that stuff, but it is becoming something that may become more frequent. I do believe in, you know, that there's another power. And, you know, when you talk about, you know, how this individual, you know, really shaped that moment in your life over the past year or two, I've really been consciously aware of like specific milestones and turning points in my life where this specific person made a significant shift in the direction that I was going. And I believe that the higher power kind of had some control over that as well. And it's really incredible when you lean into it and you really just accept, you know, that everything happens the way it needs to. And it's been really fortunate for me. And I'm glad that you leaned into that and you found, you know, your place. And here you are now. You've started, you know, an electrical company backed by your last name, which I love that you use it in the most unique ways possible. If I'm asking you something in a coaching call or, you know, and in some type of conversation, and I'm like, hey, can you go get this done? The spelling of it always it just gets me. So for anybody that's listening, Tom's last name is spelled D-U-N-N-E. And so it's Dunne Power, D-U-N-N-E. And every time he says anything, he's like, oh yeah, consider it done. Spells it that way. So I think he's reshaping the English dictionary and changing the word done to
that's
done.
funny because a lot of people mix up the spelling of my last name, so they call me Dune. So on my, you know, on the back of my shirts it says any job consider it done, D-U-N-N-E. So they're like, what does that mean? Any job consider it Dune? I'm like, come on, figure it out. It's done. Any job consider it done.
Yeah, put it together. No, I love it, man. I think it's a great name, and I love, and you used it. You leaned into that right away, and I think it's a great, you know, a little feature with your business that allows you to differentiate yourself in the space.
Hey, we've got an ad here. Make sure to pay attention. What's up, guys? Are you a contractor or business owner looking to take things to the next level? Well, I've got something for you. The Elite Builder Society is a community that helps contractors grow and scale. For $49 a month, you can have access to 20 group coaching calls. Look, you're probably wondering, how am I going to show up to 20 calls, Brandon? That's a lot. And yeah, it is a lot for $49 a month. But every call is recorded so you can watch it at your leisure. But you get the best experience when you're live on the call with us. Okay, at the end of every webinar, there will be a Q&A where you can ask the industry expert questions that you can implement into your business. Look, if you're ready to take things to the next level for $49 a month, go to ebsworks.com and register today. I look forward to seeing you inside the community.
So went into rehab. We were off for a year, just kind of getting your shit together. Started a business year 2. Here we are, you know, in your 3rd year of sobriety, 2 years in business. We've been working together for just over a year. And I mean, tell us about what the journey's been like. Like, what was, you know, you said you were sitting in your truck one day building business cards, you know, and now here you are, you know, you've got a huge ad campaign, you got a growing crew, you've got leads coming in from every different angle. You're in a small community, got, you know, let's go check out Tom's website here. So Tom, if they want to find you on, what's the website, Tom?
Yeah, my website, if anybody who's interested in looking it up, www.dunnepower.com. Again.
Okay, cool. So look, yeah, good job. Consider it done. So if you go check out Tom's website, you'll see there's a really critical part. So Tom's been in business for 2 years. years. And one of the most important parts that I want you to understand, he's got 138 current reviews. So this recording is from a month ago, so he's probably going to have more when you're listening to this at that point. But it is just a part of his standard SOP. He is focused. He's got 3 reviews here in one day, more than that. And so what I want you to understand is that Tom recognized that this is a critical part of his business early on. And I work with people that actually don't value reviews like you do, Tom. And I think this is, something that maybe you don't even aren't fully aware of, but we work with people that have been in business for over, a decade, and they have no Google page, no Google reviews, and they just kind of throw it to the side of the desks. So tell us a little bit about, that journey of business, development, and, what led you through some of the stuff. Obviously, we've been working together for a long time, fairly long time, but there was a year there where you were running your business without me, and you were making a lot of these decisions, and you had a lot of these tools in front of you already. And so tell us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to be recognized, or if you need to find anything, it's on Google, right? So if they can't find you on Google, where are they going to find you? So that was one of my first things that I took care of, was my Google business page. And just that was, incorporated with my SOPs right away, is just with all my customers being really personable and explaining to them, on my startup that, to share their experience on Google. So at the end of each job, when I sent out my invoice, there was a link to share their experience on Google. So again, I'm just very personable with all my clients. It's not always about business with them, so they're more than happy. I never had to go into begging or anything like that. Everything just happened organically.
And it's a part of the process. The other thing that's also happening is that because your Google reviews are so visibly active, your Google My Business page will naturally get more traction. Google will put actually more people towards you because there's more activity there. And so they'll favor your page actually over other people's, because it creates more engagement with their platform. Obviously, every business has its own internal business SOPs, and Google has its own internal SOPs, just like you have yours. And conveniently you leaned into those. And the other part to that I think is really, really unique is that, you'll find more of the same. So because you're, giving out these Google reviews, or you're getting these Google reviews from your clients, the clients that you're attracting are already attracted from the Google review. And so naturally they'll know that it's their turn to put up that review when the time comes, especially if that lead came from Google. And so it's just great, because these are things that we talk with contractors about, years after starting their business, where they prioritize that. And you started it early on. And I think that's one of the big differentiators with you. And then also, providing obviously a great service, having great, a great team, having a great brand, Dunne power, I think adds, just this unique element. So looking back on the last year, Tom, what would be like one of the most single moments that were the most challenging for you in your business? Maybe in the past couple of years.
I mean, the growth, man. It's when hiring another person is the right time. Again, this is where I put all my faith in God, because it's without him, none of this is possible, right? I can't really make these decisions on my own. So when I have too much work for one guy when I started out, and then I hired a guy, and then I didn't have enough work for him. So I kind of just spiced up my ad spend, and just getting out there, networking with people. And then that was my biggest struggle, was just filling that schedule. And then I just never pictured myself hiring this many people this quick. So
right. So being that you've had to hire this many people this quick, what is you probably, when you started this business, sitting in your truck, designing your business card, which is I think where everybody initially goes, they want to be creative, the creative CEO, and then maybe the systems come second. And
I think starting to do that stuff, it was starting to make things real. You know what I mean? Not making big jumps. It was just slowly making those small moves of making business cards. And I'm like, oh, I just spent $100 on 1,000 business cards. I got to go through with this now,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was forced into it now. So, but you've grown pretty quickly over the past couple of years. Early on, at some point, you probably had a bit of a vision of what this business was going to look like, in year 1, 2, 3, 5, 10. Can you share a little bit about the vision with what you're planning or what you thought of what your business would become, or what is it you're hoping it does become?
Well, that's a good question because, a lot of the time, I've just been winging it. But yeah, like my vision, is just having being well known around and in the community, doing good things for the community, giving back, and yeah, like my next vision, is having a shop, central location, and there's nothing. It's nice driving around, seeing your sign some spots, but I think nothing would be better than driving down the street and passing your shop with your big logo on it. But
so no crazy audacious. I mean, that is still audacious, but I'm not trying to shoot that down. But no crazy big goal. Just roll with the punches as they come in, and I think that's a great reminder for all of us. Is we can have a big vision, but reality is that the world is going to spin the way it needs to spin and move in the direction that it needs to move. And like you talk about God and the faith and all that kind of stuff, and he's kind of in control of a lot of the decisions that happen, and you're just kind of giving in to what that growth looks like. I think a shop is a great next step.
We've talked about this too in one of our one-on-one coaching calls too, right? Where I'm in a pretty small community, so a business like mine, you can only get so big. But again, it's crossed my mind where set up shop here, and once I get I don't like saying the word comfortable, but once I kind of master where I'm at and get comfortable, maybe then I'd start branching out, looking at other locations and hiring a GM to run that in a different area. But
that's exciting. I look forward to being a part of that growth as well. That's the stuff, like the big crazy stuff really gets me going, because it just comes with so many blind spots and complexity they're like really, really challenging Rubik's cubes that you have to kind of dig into. And I know you like, dealing with challenges each and every day. And I think it would be great for your community to have, Dunne Power, a little electric boat. I know you and I were pissing around the other night there, playing with some billboard creatives, and it was, I don't know how long of a conversation it was, but just back and forth in the DMs. And this is the thing, with a lot of the people that we work with, like Tom's been with us for a while now, and we just have the capability of just shooting the shit and having a conversation in the DMs like real people talking about real things. And he's got some new billboards. I don't know where the billboard thing is at right now, or if that's in production, but we were pissing around with ChatGPT and creating some funny little unique billboards. And obviously we can't share them right now because we're on this call, but ChatGPT is a wild thing, and you can do some crazy shit on there. And so I really appreciate all the times that we've been able to dig into that.
I gotta say too, like I've been in another coaching group before, and I gotta say I really appreciate you answering texts at all time. I don't want to say too much, so people can break boundaries. But I mean, you're there. I text you with a question, you're there right away. So I appreciate that. So
for me, that's part of the process. Like you've got those Google reviews. I mean, my service-based business is a lot more different. It's more online, and it doesn't really depend on the same metrics to generate work as yours. But one of the things I learned, I worked with a large plumbing company years ago, and the owner made me feel like I was his only client. Always. He had a nearly $1 million burn rate per month, and I felt like I was his only client. And I thought that was like incredible. I don't even know how it was possible. And so I try to extend that same level of service and just being there, because I know that the questions that come to light aren't specifically always on our calls. They come at random times, in the middle of the night sometimes, when you're like, hey, I'm thinking about doing a billboard, what's the vibe on this? And we can just bounce back and forth. It's time that I can give up to serve the people that work with me, just to give them that added layer. And I feel like there are a lot of programs out there, unfortunately, a lot of businesses that are out there. I was just talking with Josh, who's one of the guys that you're going to be working with. He's a CPA. I was just talking with Josh about optimize less and continue to make sure that personalized experience always exists, because the minute you start taking away too much of that personalized experience is the minute when the client feels disconnected from what's actually happening, and you lose the relationship. It starts to kind of falter a little bit. And because that's the world that we live in right now. It's like everyone want to optimize everything, and I'm like, I think we want to optimize as little as possible. I think we want to optimize very very few things, and we want to just get better at delivering, a service. And I think you do that, Tom, very well within your business, and I love that about you.
That's one thing I was, concerned about, being my life being controlled with the business. But I look at my phone, and I think that's one thing that separates me from a lot of people is if I get a text message from a client, I'm responding like within minutes. Same with my emails, phone calls. I know a lot of people, they'll wait days before they even get a response. So that being said too, I remember that's one of the things that you taught me was, try to make your client feel like they're your only client. But, sometimes communicating with them, they need you right away. And I catch myself and I'm like, oh shit, like I said, oh, sorry, I got to take care of these people. They're already on the schedule. And, you kind of did, you do what you can. But you can't. Yeah,
I think it's natural for us to be personal with our people. You can't just ignore the fact that you have other clients. That other individual that I worked with, he was years into that business, and so he cultured himself into doing it. I think that was his main mission. And I think over time, as long as you recognize that, and you have that control in the conversation to disconnect your other projects from your current project, really just ultimately that client that you're working with does not give a shit about Martha's other service or Betty's other service. They only care about themselves. Similar to you are very active in our community and appreciate that. Very active with a lot of the other people in there. I built some really good relationships with a lot of the different people, but you still care about your business and, me giving you a service for your business. It's not about, do we give a service for everyone? It's about, do I get a service for my business? And that's exactly what, a lot of clients in the home service space expect is they want a singular purpose service for them. They do not want to pay for any energy towards anybody else. They just want the experience for them. And I think you do a great job, and you're early into this. You're early, and you're probably nearly a decade ahead of a lot of other people that are in this industry. And I think you're doing great, man. I love it.
What's up, guys? I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Onsite podcast. So here's the deal. We want to grow this show, and we need your help. It's simple. Pay the tax, share the show. That's it. Let's get back into it.
So who was Tom? This is one of the questions that, I want to kind of dig into. So there was Tom before we started working together, and then there's Tom now. What would you say are some of the differentiations between that Tom and this Tom? You've had a lot of experience in the last 3 years of your life, taking that leap and then leaning into faith. And so what would you say who Tom is today and versus who Tom was?
Well, every day, you discover something new with yourself. Again, who's Tom today? That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. Entrepreneur, chasing goals.
Well, who do this? Share with me who Tom was. Who was Tom before?
I don't think you want to know that.
No, I mean it's fine. You're a year
Tom,
at that point.
Tom before my business, I was lost, drug addict, no mission, no purpose really. But now, business driven, man of faith. I have a purpose, just bettering myself each and every day.
Okay, so here's what I can say about Tom, who Tom is today, from what I've gathered from who he was. When we first started working together, granted, this was kind of early on when we were building out our coaching program. I remember talking to him. I was traveling that day, and we were on a sales call, which I was running the sales calls at the time, and I'm still doing them periodically. But Tom was super hesitant to work with me. Super hesitant. His decision-making process was a little bit slower than it is today. And he knew that there was some value there. He was confident with, that something could happen. He knew that I was early on in it, so he'd get more attention. And those are the takeaways that I got from when we first started working together. And one of the things that I recognized about Tom versus a lot of other people that I work with is that Tom does not give a shit, and he is not afraid to ask a question. It could be at any point in the day. And I think that's really unique. And a lot of other contractors, a lot of other business owners are, their ego's in their way. They're afraid to ask a question. They're afraid to dig into learning, to becoming, a better version of themselves. And I think that, I talk about you frequently with other people. I say, Tom is generating this success because he's not afraid to ask a fucking question, even if it's a simple billboard question.
Actually, I'm glad that you said that too, is because I think a lot of people too, they have that ego, which I was struggling with, was man, I incorporated my own company. I could figure this out on my own. You know what I mean? And a lot of people do that. I've mentioned you to a lot of people that I know, and no, I got this figured out. But it's funny because they're always struggling. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think that's one of the biggest parts of business too, is finding a mentor, the person that's gone through the fire, and they provide you that cheat code. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I find that's the answer. Drop the ego. You don't need to know everything, right? We're all
You are.
learning. If you're not learning something new every day, then you're not growing, right? So
I believe I'm 10 times the coach I was a year ago as well. I've
oh,
had a
I
lot
see
of
that for
reps
sure. You are.
uh, I've had a lot of reps with hundreds of different people all across North America, and and still there's still a lot of like I still use you frequently to a lot of people. Like, you'll see the most success if you show up, drop the ego, and ask some fucking questions. The guys who message me after in between their calls throughout the week are the ones that are really seeing the best traction. And I mean, like, you're 2 years into business, and we're a year into working together, and you've over 10x. I don't even maybe it's even more than that. What would you like measure the growth from before we started working till now?
Oh man, like I can't. I don't even like out of 10. I would say 10.
No, like not a like so yeah. I mean, yeah, like I mean, we're not trying to disclose too much here, but I know that Tom's company has grown exponentially, very very fast. He's leaned into Google, he's leaned into social, he's leaned into his systems, he's leaned into incorporating a lot of the key people, key personnel into his business, and I mean, his growth measurably is very significant. And the craziest part, Tom, that I think is the most recognizable for me is that I've been talking to other contractors that are just like you, that we started talking together around the same time, and their business is very similar to yours. They're in the same industry, and they decided not to go with me. They decided to go with somebody else. I'm not trying to pump myself up. I'm just trying to say, like, at the end of the day, if you're really trying to grow your business, the first thing that you have to do is just fucking take action and drop the ego a little bit and just lean into something and ask some questions. But these individuals that I've spoke to, around the same time that you and I spoke, their business is literally in the exact same position. If anything, it's worse. And I share, your growth, and they're just like, oh, cool. And I don't think they believe it. I don't
I
think they
just
believe it.
I just want to touch back on what we were talking about with asking questions, and then in your community, you know what I mean? I'm always asking questions because what better way than to jump out of your comfort zone you're sitting on a computer with usually 10 people are on our Zoom
Mm-hmm.
calls.
Yeah.
As a business owner, you put yourself in rooms with groups of people where you have to introduce yourself and talk in front of large groups of people, right? I'm not good with speaking in large groups of people, but being in your group, asking questions over the virtual in front of people, it helps. It helps you break through that comfort zone and being able to ask questions in front of other people, right? A lot of people, I was just, that's why I never did good in school, right? You raise your hand, you ask a stupid question, people laugh at you. So
Yeah. But now you're willing to activate that question, and I think that's a big differentiator. And I'm curious. Like, everybody has a burning desire. For me, the reason I start so early and I end so late every day of the week is really just to provide something that I didn't have for my family, and then also to give my kids something to really be proud of. My dad did this, or my dad made an impact on this, and so that's my burning desire, to make sure that I can burn that footprint into this country that has collapsed a little bit here in Canada, but we service US and Canada, and that's my goal, is to make an impact. And so I'm curious, like, what is yours? What is your burning desire? Why do you send messages, ask questions, and just really dig into that uncomfortable experience?
I just want to, I don't know. I just want to grow, man. I just want to, get my business out there, be recognized, and, do it for all the right reasons. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing more motivating each and every day when you're building something of your own, right? So,
Well, and you can see traction as well. That it's beneficial when you can really see the traction of your growth and you can see it, month to month. And I think you're going to really see a lot more in 2026 working with Joshua and, really compiling the data on the numbers and really just leaning into those decisions. I think the CEO that you are today will look much different at the end of 2026, and you'll be able to really take control of your business. They always say that most businesses struggle in the first 5 years of business.
Yeah, but you know what, I love the process. I love the struggle. It's just every struggle you make it through, that you've reached the next step. So I mean, I've had a pretty good 2 seasons, so my biggest fear right now is like when's the bad season coming, right? So again,
I think you've already weathered, we don't need to get too personal with that stuff, but Tom's experienced some pretty challenging circumstances, large projects, potentially going, sideways, so to speak, and came out with, a solution to that. And I think a lot of people would fall to those types of scenarios. And
it's those failures that you learn from, right? A lot more than the wins, because I'm sure everybody knows it in the trades. Doesn't matter how much you plan something, there's going to be a little bit of a speed bump, and we're all human. It's like, oh my goodness, how did I forget that or overlook that? And again, that's where it comes in, with being open to your clients and stuff and being like, hey, look, I messed up and this and that. But I mean, I've had quite a bit more wins than losses. So
who's the first person that you call when you have a problem?
Who's the other guy on the screen?
I remember so many frequent times he's like, hey, do you got a minute? Do you got a minute? Do you got a minute?
Yeah. I think we just did that last night, didn't I?
I don't know, maybe potentially. I just get used to it. But the point is, like, my biggest, I think in a business we have, these moments of, frustration. And my biggest frustration right now in my business is there's just so many people out there that are in their own way of growing. And, we had, I don't know if you were on that call with us when we had Sean Getty, and he was kind of talking about that, paint the picture of the gift that you want to give to your family, and then go experience that all in your mind, and then come back and apologize to them that you can't give them that because you're too fucking lazy to actually do the things necessary to grow your business. And the crazy part about you is I've never felt that once. You're always just so actively interested in learning. You just came back from a meetup in Texas as well. You're always actively growing. You were in another previous group. I think that there's a space for more people to join communities like that and like ours, because
that's sorry to interrupt just before I forget. And that's what I mean. That's how I know that, God's really working in my life, is because, my weekend away in Texas, it was a Christian retreat, all entrepreneurs. And we were trying to figure out a way, what's a good way of sharing your faith and incorporating that in your business. And that was on Sunday. Today's Tuesday, and I'm sitting on a podcast right now expressing my faith in front of how many people?
I think it's very inspiring. You've shared posts inside the community. I've recognized it where, you've leaned into that. You've shared, your position, and it encourages other people to also share their own, and stand with you. It's encouraged me to lean into it a little bit more. And I think that's really what we can continue to do, whether it's with faith or, whether it's with business development. We can just continue to try to spread a message to encourage, an action. And, I know you've referred a lot of people to me, and unfortunately, most of them are in their own way. And it's so crazy, but it reminds me that you are truly a part of a 1% of people, because you would think that there's a larger percentage of people that actually want to grow their business, but they don't.
Well, remember, I like giving back. I even offered one of them to pay their month fee. And still nothing. So whatever.
It's crazy. So if you're listening to this,
just get back and watch the show, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this and you've been sitting on the fence about working with us, Tom's, an example of what the experience can look like. If you're really trying to get your ass on more projects, on more job sites, and get 138 Google reviews within your first 2 years of business, we're here to help you do it. And I'm not trying to sales pitch us here, but at the end of the day, you can listen to this podcast today, okay, and you can wait an entire year, and you can reflect on who you are and where you're at. And I can assure you that Tom will not be where you are and where you're at. His business by the end of 2026 will be significantly. I don't know. We could kind of throw some goals out there, Tom. What would be some goals that you would like to see, at the end of 2026 with your business?
Yeah, no, I think for manpower, I'm pretty good for 2026. Like I said, I think I wanted to, set up a shop by end of 2026, and I really want to lean into more with, exit strategies and just mastering my operating procedures.
I love it. Well, you're working with, so Tom's going to be working the start of 2026 with Joshua, who's a CPA and a CEPA. He acts kind of like as a CFO within your business. And he has been with our community from the beginning before you were with us, Tom. And just a great resource to have, directly to help you kind of grow and scale. And I think that's going to be some exciting stuff to dig into with your business. And I'm excited for you. So Tom, if anybody wants to, from Owen Sound, Ontario, if you're a client and you want to experience Tom's service and add to his Google reviews, Tom, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Google. You can find me on Instagram. It's DUNNE.POWER.INC. And I do have an active Facebook page as well. I'm not on there as much, but then there's my website. And I mean, in my area, you Google anything electrical, and I'm popping up. So,
well, that is effective eyeballs and capturing the impressions of the clients in your community. And I love working with you, dude. This has been a great conversation, Tom. Is there anything else that you want to add to finish up this episode?
I just think back. I remember you were saying something about Sean Getty and growing something and gifting. It just came to me. I think it's a big piece of my purpose, and what I'm doing is leaving an impact and a footprint on this world. Before I go, and I just want to leave something big that I've built behind for a family member, or because I don't have kids, so I do have a few nephews, and I'm sure they're probably going to grow up to be in the trade. So there'd be nothing better to leave behind than a electrical business for them, So
that's awesome. I love it, Tom. I think you're a great human. I'm thankful that you're in our community and that you're a part of this journey with us, and that you trust me with your business and giving you that guidance and direction. It's been a great conversation. Until next time, episode 27. It's crazy. Thank you so much, Tom. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Grateful for you.
All right, that concludes this episode of the Onsite Podcast. Remember, if you enjoyed this episode, please pay the tax, share the show. Guys, if you want to be a part of the Elite Builder Society, all you got to do is pay $49 a month. That's it. $49 a month. You get 20 group coaching calls every month. Okay? Go to ebsworks.com and register today. If you enjoyed the show, please pay the tax and share the show.